Hello there, friends and enemies. 2020 was quite a year in a lot of not so great ways. And one of the many things that was very impacted for the worse was the music scene. No concerts, no going to clubs, and even a lot of releases were put off. But of what we did have, what was here to comfort us, there was some pretty good stuff. So as with last year, I've made a top 5 list of my 5 favorite goth music albums from Latin America that came out this year. Keep in mind, this list is purely subjective. Anything that isn't on this list, I'm not saying that it's bad or even that I didn't like it. I just liked something else a little bit more. Also, this list is not ranked. It's just 5 that it just depends on my mood what's my favorite, because most of them are different genres. Without further ado, here are my top 5 goth Latin American album releases of 2020. First one, if you follow me, you've already heard of it, is The Lover's Path by Red Apple Cult from Costa Rica. Red Apple Cult is an ethereal wave goth gaze occult pop band, and this album, which is their second, definitely reflects that. It's sort of it's a nostalgic piece. It definitely sounds like a lot of that ethereal wave you would have heard in the 90s and early 2000s with the airy female vocals and the soft instrumentation, and even subject-wise with all of the Greek mythology and Gnostic Christian, goddess and Eve and Garden of Eden references. It definitely falls back into that, and if that's what you're into, I think you'll really like this album. For those of you who are English speakers, it's mostly in English, all but one song, which is in Spanish, if you have an opinion on that. My personal favorite song is Pomegranate. Next album is Drepper Meg by The Funeral Medieval from Mexico. This band is, they're sort of death rocky, but there's also a lot of cold wave influence on this particular album. Maybe that doesn't sound like it would go well together, but in my opinion it really does. It's very dark, there's a lot of that more rough punky sound, but also sort of that deep male vocals that we associate more with that electronic music almost of the cold wave variety. This guy, his voice is so deep, you have to listen to it. My personal favorite song is Yautzin, which is actually the Aztec god of hell, and that's something that's interesting about this album. There is a lot of different sort of cultural references. There's also a song about Ra, and a lot of these names are in different languages, not just Spanish. There's an Italian named song, a German one, so it's sort of an international album, although all the songs I think are in Spanish. Next up is probably the controversial one on this list, is Tropico by Sea Temples from Chile. The reason that this is controversial is because I wasn't sure for a moment, is this goth enough or is it more just shoegaze? Because they describe themselves, as post-punk, shoegaze, and dream pop, and they also call themselves dark psychedelia. But ultimately, that darkness is what I decided puts them here. Obviously, there has long been an overlap between goth and shoegaze and the goth gaze scene. And yeah, this album is very cool. If you're into that shoegazy sound, this is full of it. And it's still very dark, though. My personal favorite is Verde Catedral, which is one of the songs that's in Spanish, because there's 4 songs in Spanish and 6 songs in English. Next up, we have Discomania by Depression Radical from Argentina. This I would describe as doomy dance music because it's very dark wave, there's some electronic, and almost brings on that cyberpunk sound, but not in the uns way. It is very jumpy and bouncy, but it is very dark, very doomy sounding. Yeah, it is. I don't even know how you'd classify it. The closest thing is, I don't know, maybe a little bit like Molchat Doma, in that they have that very percussive sound to them, but this is darker than that, this is doomier than that. Oh, and I think all the songs are in Spanish. And something that I thought was very interesting about the lyrics, if you're reading the lyrics, a lot of it is just 1 or 2 words listed at a time, and listening to the songs, that's not just an aesthetic choice, that's pretty much how they're said. It's said very one word, one word, one word. My personal favorite song is Amore Queatico. Finally, we have Only the Pain Can Cure Us by Something Obscura from Peru. This is a band, or more of an act, by musician who goes by Non-Loop. He also does some solo stuff, but this is not an example of that. And this album, the best way to describe it is just eclectically goth. Some of it sounds more darkwave, some of it sounds more post-punk, some of it sounds kind of shoegaze. Like, some of the songs honestly sound like they could be on different albums, but they still go well together. And my personal favorite song is A Real Place in a False Broken Mirror, which is in English. So that was my list. I hoped that you will look into these artists. I'll have all their Bandcamps listed below. And if, you don't feel like buying music, I think most of them are available in other places to stream. If you've made it this far, please leave the garbage can emoji in the comment section, or the waste bin, whatever you call it, where you live, wherever you put the basura. And if you want to see more of these, please, give me a like, subscribe to my videos. I also have my link tree linked below so that you can follow me on any other social media that you like, whether it's Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram. And I would like to wish you a happy 2021. Bye now.